Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a video on book buying and all about buying books and just my tips, I guess, and kind of tricks on ways to save money where book buying is concerned. I know that for me, now and ever since joining BookTube, I have kind of gone a little crazy with book buying and kind of my TBR list. For those of you who are big readers and buy a lot, or maybe you're new to BookTube and you want to start building up a collection, it can be pretty overwhelming with buying books, and it can get pretty expensive, especially if you just walk into the bookstore and try to start buying all of these books. It can get pretty expensive, so I have kind of figured out and discovered some really great places to shop at over the past year, and some really great tricks that can save you a little bit of money, which sometimes is only a couple bucks, but you know, for me, I found it can be a big difference and could buy me an extra book or two. To get started, I wanted to start with the basics, which is probably really boring for those of you who are book buyers and are familiar with book buying, but for those of you who are maybe newbies and are not as familiar with book buying, most of the time when you go into a bookstore like Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, all of the books are price fixed. It's kind of like a general rule of thumb. Most paperbacks are price fixed to $9.99 and most hardcovers are $17.99. As far as young adult goes, when you get into more like adult or fiction books, they could range anywhere from $23 to $30, and new adult books are usually around $14 to $15, unless it's something like Harry Potter or something that is a very large phenomenon. Those I think are around $25, $26. Typically young adult books, paperbacks are $9.99 and hardcovers are $17.99. So if you go into Barnes & Noble or Books A Million, you're gonna pay those prices unless there is, you know, a promotion or a special or something. For the most part, everything is price fixed. That being said, there is a big difference in online shopping or e-commerce versus in-store shopping. So a lot of my kind of basic tips are coming from buying online versus buying in stores, and I even did a speech about this for my public speaking class last year. But you can definitely shop around and look on different websites to see the differences in price. But I definitely recommend, if you're buying a lot of books, to check out online shopping, which is a little bit more about what I'm going to discuss next, but that is kind of a big price difference. Okay, so on to some of my favorite places. I typically buy from a couple of different stores. I don't, you know, stick with one specific place. I'm always out and about looking, and if somewhere has books, then I'm checking it out to see what they have, because, you know, sometimes you can find really great books in the most unlikely places, and, you know, sometimes really random stores have books. The most popular place to buy books for the masses of people, and a place that I like to buy books from, is Amazon.com. And I know that recently there's been a lot of controversy and kind of concern with Amazon because of some of the publishing company kind of disagreements and with Warner Brothers and everything. So if you don't like Amazon, if you don't feel comfortable shopping there anymore, I have an alternative, and I have a way that you can still utilize Amazon. But I do really like Amazon as far as book buying goes. You know, political things aside, they have really great prices for books, and they're not always cheaper. It's not always. There's always an exception to the rule, but for the most part, they seem to be the cheapest over anything. And what is great about Amazon is that you know, they offer probably virtually anything you could want as far as books go. They have where you can ship them to other people and all that, as we all know with Amazon wish lists. So for example, this particular book I bought off of Amazon, and as I mentioned, it's $9.99 if I were to go to Books A Million or Barnes & Noble. This particular book was, I think, $6 on Amazon. This one would probably be anywhere from $11 to $14. It varies on the book itself and kind of the time period of the book. Like, I found that most of the time newer hardcover books are more expensive than older ones online, and then paperbacks are kind of a toss-up. Sometimes they're $4 or $5 cheaper. A lot of times they're only $2 cheaper. So I do find with paperbacks it's not as big of a difference to buy online as it is with hardcovers. I do recommend Amazon if you want to get started and if you're looking to save money. Now, if you're not comfortable with buying from Amazon, alternatives are booksamillion.com and Barnes & Noble. I really like their online websites because, again, the prices are a lot cheaper. Even though you go in store and pay full price, a lot of times they're very competitive against Amazon, and you can find the books for around the same price. Sometimes they're cheaper, sometimes they're a little bit more expensive, but they're still really great places to shop. If you have the discount cards, that's even better. So I really like those as well. I typically use Barnes & Noble online more than Books A Million because I don't have a discount card to either one. So I utilize the free shipping with Barnes & Noble over $25. I do shop in both of the actual stores as well. I do like that. I will still shop in stores at bookstores, but as far as saving money goes, the online is cheaper. My next favorite place, this is probably my favorite place if it's a good one, but this is where you can kind of utilize Amazon without buying from Amazon, and that is for Target. If you guys have a Target, depending on where you live, sometimes the book sections are okay and sometimes they're better. But I'm a big Target shopper in general. I buy a lot of Target, you know, just different things. Sometimes I buy groceries or clothes or whatever. And so I always check out the book section when I'm there. And in particular, the one in my college town is better than the one where my parents live, but Target is pretty good about carrying the more popular books and series and newer releases. And so a lot of times they will have new books that come out. They will have, you know, the popular series like Harry Potter and the Hunger Games and all of that kind of stuff, and they will have pretty competitive prices for in-store. Usually the hardcovers, I want to say, there are anywhere from like $13 to $14, which could be very comparable to buying off of Amazon. So instead of ordering from Amazon, you can buy in-store from Target. You can, you know, get it right then. You don't have to wait for it. But another thing that you can do is they will price match at Target, which I think is great because you know, especially with more expensive items or with book sets, like box sets, you take up an item that Target sells and it is cheaper at Walmart, Amazon, any kind of competitive, kind of like credible place. You know, I don't think they would match to eBay or something, but anything credible like a retailer, if you take it to customer service, they will look it up. If it's a valid, you know, match, then they will honor that and you can get it for less. So for example, I bought my Divergent box set, which is up there. I think Target had it priced at $39.99. Amazon was like $27 or $28, and I took it up to the customer service and they price matched it, and I saved like $13, $14. So I think that's great, especially if you don't want to shop on Amazon anymore, or if you just don't feel like waiting for them. That is a great option to do as well. Or if even Walmart has it cheaper. I'm not a big Walmart shopper. I don't like Walmart. I feel like they take all of the business from all the local stores, and I feel like Target is a little bit different than Walmart, so I shop at Target, but I'm just not a Walmart fan. So if Walmart has it for cheaper, they can price match to Walmart. Obviously you can go to Walmart too and shop, but I'm just not a Walmart fan, so I definitely recommend Target. And then my last, I guess I have two more, but my last kind of place that is relevant for everyone is Kroger, which is completely random, but I buy all my groceries in college at Kroger when I'm buying my own food, obviously. And so my Kroger in college has a really decent book section. Again, they only really have the newer releases or the popular books. They don't have everything, but I have found quite a few books there at really great prices. So for example, one of the ones that I saw one time, I didn't buy it, but one of the ones that they had that was a great deal was The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, which is the really big hardcover. I think the price on that one is like $20, $22, and even Amazon had it for like $18. They had it for $14 in store. So I think Kroger is great, and if you're at the grocery store, you know, blitz through and see. The prices are pretty competitive there as well. And then the last place that I've kind of recently been shopping at more is my local used bookstore. So I think it's really great to check out your kind of local used bookstore if you have one. And I am pretty picky with the books that I get, and I am more kind of, I don't want to say OCD, but if it's a new book that I want that's coming out, I will buy it new. But there are a few books on my, you know, TBR pile that I want to read that are not necessarily books I feel like I have to own a brand new copy of. So I will hit up the local bookstore and see what they have. And sometimes I find books that I want to read but that are not top priority for a lot cheaper. And, you know, ones that are maybe not as important to me to buy, you know, $15 worth. I was at the local bookstore the other day. I do Instagram a lot of little mini book hauls that I do, so if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw this book. But one of the books I've wanted to read for years is Rules of Civility by Amherst Holmes. This isn't a popular book, but I've wanted to read it for a while. It's not really on the top of my TBR list, so it was nothing that I was planning on ordering anytime soon, but I've always wanted to read it. And I was at my used bookstore the other day and I found this book, and it was $2 for hardcover. It's in pretty much perfect condition. I think it's been read probably once, and it was $2, and the hardcover price for this one was $27. So I definitely think used bookstores are great. I do have a couple of tips that kind of go hand in hand with some of the stores and just different places. So I did tell you guys about the Target one, but obviously price matching at Target is great. If you want to shop on Amazon, is utilizing Amazon Prime, and I signed up for the student one. I have done the free one, so I haven't actually purchased the actual membership yet, but if you're a student, if you're starting college, you can sign up for free for 6 months, I think, and you get free 2-day shipping on everything, which is really nice, because in the past I would have to, you know, justify in my mind enough books to, you know, not only utilize the $25, but to make it worth it. You know, if you buy one book, you're gonna have to pay shipping, but if you have Amazon Prime, you get free 2-day shipping, so you automatically save there. You don't have to pay for shipping, or if you don't feel like spending a full $25, then that's really great. So if you want to sign up for Amazon Prime, I'll put a link below. Another one I kind of touched on, but that I think is really great, is deciding between paperbacks and hardcovers. I think, you know, if you don't care, obviously go for paperback if you don't mind having that. I am a little bit pickier. I know a lot of people like hardcovers, and I like buying hardcovers for certain books. Not everything, but a lot of the books I typically buy are hardcovers. So for me, that is a great concern, or a big concern, where I'm buying and shopping, because obviously online is a lot cheaper for me most of the time. But if you're buying paperback, I definitely think, you know, check the prices. If it's only $1 or $2 cheaper online versus buying in store, I wouldn't lose sleep over something like that if I wanted the book bad enough. Now, if you want to buy a ton of books at once, like 5 or 6 books or 5 to 10 books, then by all means, if it's a lot cheaper, then order offline. But, you know, if I want a book, like if I wanted to go get the second Bloodlines book and it was only $8 on Amazon, but it's 10 in store, I would probably go ahead and buy it for 10 if I really wanted it. If it's something that I don't feel like I need to keep going and read right now, then I could wait for it and save $2. But for that, it's not as big of a difference for me as it is with the hardcover. So I think a tip overall is kind of decide what you want to get. If you are more into buying hardcovers or paperbacks, and kind of plan that out, system of which books you want to buy per month if you want to, you know, only spend a certain amount. I think having a YouTube channel helps me with like my TBR list, and kind of keeping a list or kind of an order of what books to read next and which ones to buy or which ones to read off my shelf. Overall, that might help you instead of just going out and buying a ton. For pre-order books, I definitely recommend pre-ordering, because they usually guarantee you the price that is lowest on pre-order. So you can pre-order from anywhere. You can do it from Amazon or Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, and that's really great and kind of a really nice effective method. Another thing I have is box sets. If you are kind of late on a series or a trilogy like I am, a lot of the times it is a lot cheaper to go ahead and buy the box set up front than to buy each one. And I know they're more expensive on the front end. Like box sets are typically $30 to $50 to $100 depending on what they are. But for example, the Divergent box set I bought, as I mentioned, was I think like $28, whereas most of those books are $12 to $14 a piece. So that's already, you know, at least $5 to $10 savings. So I highly recommend going for box sets if the series is out and you want to read it. If you don't want to spend any money at all, or if you want to read a book that you don't necessarily want to own, then obviously utilize the library. I think there's nothing wrong with checking out books, especially if you don't want them, or if you don't know if you'll like it. You can always buy it later. I typically don't use the library. I'm just more of a book buyer. But if you don't want to buy books, or if you're in high school where you have a little bit easier access to a library, then check out books in the library. I mean, unless it's something that's like your favorite series or something, if you don't care not to own it, then that is the cheapest, most cost-effective way. If you have a Target, if you shop at Target a lot and you want to start buying a lot of books from Target, then definitely sign up for one of their debit cards and save 5%, because it's free and it just links to your bank account, and you can also save an additional 5%, which is typically like a little bit of the tax, so that saves you a little bit too. One other kind of tip or place that I would definitely check out is Books A Million's sales that they do in store. They do buy 2 get a third free sales all the time, and they even have bargain price sections too, where you can find books usually for $3 to $5 each, which I think is great. I found a lot of really great books like Anna and the French Kiss. I found it one time for buy two get a third free. I found The Diviners one time for $6. So they have actually really decent book titles for cheaper. So I think that's everything. I hope this video didn't get too disorganized or too kind of chaotic. I tried to kind of follow a certain order and to give you guys some insightful, kind of helpful tips on just what I do and what I like to buy, but I definitely think overall kind of prioritize what you want to buy and whether you want it in hardcover or paperback, and then do a little bit of market research on where it's the cheapest if you want to buy offline. Check out the different prices at the different websites like Books A Million or Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or even Target's website is great, and see what the price difference is in all of them. A lot of people even like Book Outlet, which I've never personally bought anything from, but Book Outlet also has some great deals for the price as well if you can find enough to justify the shipping. These are just some of the tips that I have. They're pretty basic. If you're a big book buyer, you probably know these, but for those of you who maybe don't do some of these things, or maybe are new to buying books, maybe this will help you out a little bit, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!